I've been waiting for love. What you doing to me?
Hello, Cara. How are you?
So well, thanks. Thank you for having me.
Hey, you're most welcome. Thank you for giving us the opportunity to chat to you. You've been globetrotting. Where have you been?
Well, last year was a little bit of a mix-up. I'm based in London at the moment. I'm definitely South African. I was born and bred in Johannesburg, but I'm based in London at the moment. I'm studying psychology and trying to build my music career that side of the world. So the plan was to be in London for the whole year.
Mm.
Although I came back to Joburg for lockdown and the 3 weeks turned into 4 months, as
Oh,
we all know. And yeah, so when I made it back to London, it was already past halfway through the year. And then I was trying to avoid quarantine in London because every
mm.
time I flew back from a high risk country, I had to quarantine for 2 weeks. And so I ended up spending a lot of my time in Berlin, in Germany, and in studio. And I did a release that I'm really, really excited about, Waiting for Love. And we did the original and the remix. And so, yeah, I was last year definitely in South Africa for the first half, and then between London and Berlin.
Is it not a worry that, at the moment with the travel restrictions and all that, you're not going to be able to get back there now?
I'm actually so happy to be home in Joburg, to be honest. I've got such good people to work with here, songwriters, producers, recording studios, and I can be really productive here. And I can spend a lot of time with my family. And I can still do exactly what I wanted to do, which is like get a little bit of a foot in Europe, in the European market. Even if I produce my stuff here in South Africa, I can still, when I release it, target other territories. So I'm not so worried at all. Although I am supposed to be flying back next Saturday,
Oh, wow.
and I may or may not take that flight because, of course, it's in complete lockdown. So I will make that decision a little bit closer to the time.
Yeah, or that decision might be made for you.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
Exactly. I mean, because right now we're not allowed to fly in from South Africa, so I would have to fly via. Although I do have a British passport, so they can't
Mm.
deny me entry. So it is a little bit tricky, and I'm also going to see if I want to fly back to London. It's freezing cold, and it'll be locked down. So
Yes. So maybe wait until autumn here and spring there, and then go.
exactly. Oh,
Okay.
exactly. So maybe that would be a good plan.
Yeah. Before we get to Waiting for Love, can we just go back to where it all began for you and getting into music, and what was that journey like?
Yes, so I have sung all my life at school. I was in the school choir. In grade 7, I was the lead in the school play. I was Joseph and his Technicolor Dreamcoat. So I was always a bit of
Not Josephine.
no, not Josephine. No, we play the real roles. Yeah, no, I've always loved singing. I've always loved acting and the drama and that sort of creative side of life. And I studied music at school, so I played the piano and the guitar and violin. Actually, I've got my grade 8 in the Royal School of Music for violin.
Wow.
I then decided. Oh, my dog is saying hello. Hello, my boy. He
Hello.
was moving. Hello. And so after school, I decided that actually at 14, I decided I really, really wanted to make my way to Los Angeles because when I looked at these people that I loved and admired, they all seemed to live in LA. So I thought if I needed to make it in the music industry, I needed to be in LA. And I wanted to sing because I wanted to connect with people the way these people connected with me, and how I felt they got me. I wanted to basically be that, and that's sort of why I wanted to start music, and what drove me to pursuing my music is that connection, and connecting with others. And that's for me the most important thing in life, and it has continued to be so. So I really wanted to go to LA. And did you want to say something?
No, no, no.
Sorry.
You carry on. You're doing a great job.
Okay, so I wanted to go to LA. So I went to LA and I studied at the Songwriting School of Los Angeles, and I got into studio with like at the time I loved Lana Del Rey and one of her producers, Dan Heath. I got into studio with him and I met a couple cool people in the industry, and I was really having a lot of fun. Then I released two singles here in South Africa, just like tropical house, pop vibe. One was called Falling, that was produced by the
I
Kiffness.
love that song.
Yeah. Oh, yay. So Dave actually went to school with my older brother. So that's really how that connection happened. Because we didn't really know where to start, right, with producers and things like that. We had no idea. And then Invisible came after that. And then they did pretty well on the airwaves, went to #1 on a couple of the stations. And hold on, but before that, I went to something called ADE. It's a dance event. It's a music event in Amsterdam.
It's like a camp, a songwriters camp type of thing.
Yes,
Yeah,
as
right.
well. And you meet you meet a lot of producers and writers, and it's quite like DJ driven, because in Amsterdam, obviously in Holland and stuff, a lot of the DJs come out of that in that side of the world, I guess. And so I met Black Coffee on one of the panels, and I just said, listen, I'm a songwriter, I'm a singer-songwriter, I would love to collaborate with you. Immediately he's like, cool, here's my email address. We started emailing, but it wasn't very quick. It took me months and months and months to get like a real response and a real vibe and a real connection. And then I did a track with him. And I think all of these little bubbles, you know, with from Falling to Invisible to the Black Coffee track, Sony Africa was interested. And so they signed me for my first album, which was amazing. And then from there, I was living in LA. And like I said, I do music because for me, the most important thing is connecting with people. Whether that be, you know, going to the mall and bumping into a random stranger, but you make them feel as special as you can, you know, like really listened to, really heard, really felt. Like, because I want to embrace people the way I want to be received, right? So that's just how I live my life. So what I did was, when I was in LA, I was reaching out to as many people as I could, as many DJs as I could, as many songwriters, producers. Most of the time you get no response, but I got a response from an American DJ there. His name's Sunburn, and he signed to Sony as well, Ultra. And I did a track with him, and then I did Coachella with him, and then I did Ultra Miami with Black Coffee, and so that's sort of where my music career has been. And then I wanted to take a little bit of a step back and bring it back to basics, because when I perform live, I love to do it acoustically, and I just was, you know, producing this pretty electro-driven stuff and then singing it acoustically, and so I needed there to be a link. So this brings me to my current release that I released last year in July. It actually was quite a long time from start to finish to get the product actually done, but I really wanted it to be driven by more earthy elements, an acoustic feel, you know, acoustic guitar, but still my pop vocals and signature writing. So,
Did lockdown give you the opportunity to finish it?
Definitely. Yeah, no, definitely. So other than singing, I also I'm a very passionate show jumper. I've competed at the World Games for South Africa 3 times. Yeah, and my sights are set on the Olympics one day. So I'm like,
incredible.
if I do something, I do it like 100%, you know. And I also started studying psychology so I can add some more value to my charitable efforts. So I was a little bit trying to do these 3 loves of my life, you know, and so I was finding it a little bit difficult to find the time to just finish this track, release it. And I thought lockdown was the best time because I was home in South Africa. I couldn't go ride. I was studying, but I was studying online, and yeah, I could just really get this song tied up, get some cool visuals for it. And I thought it was the good time to release because I was really like longing for connection and waiting for love. So yeah.
If young artists who are just starting out in the music industry, they want to go overseas like you, they feel that probably the only way is to go overseas and start working there. What would you say to them? Would you say go? Would you say try it here first? What would your advice be?
Well, I think it's just so personal, Paul. If you have an opportunity to go to LA or go to the UK and connect with songwriters and producers and get into studio with really incredible people and locally incredible people, do that wherever you can. And if you have an opportunity here in South Africa, grab that. Luckily, we've got such talented people, but it's a little bit of a smaller group, so it's a little bit easier to connect, right? Internationally, maybe there are many more people, but yeah, a little bit more difficult maybe to connect also, like culturally, and just in terms of people who know people who know people, like friends of friends. It's a little bit more difficult maybe. Like when I went to LA, I knew no one. I didn't know a soul, so you're starting from scratch. So it was quite difficult for the first couple of years, I would say. But it's where I wanted to be, and I think you need to be where you're passionate and where you're driven. Because that's the whole thing, right? You can be in South Africa and just not driven but have a lot of opportunities, and then it doesn't work out for you. You can be internationally super passionate but no connections at the moment, but you've driven and you're passionate, and so you make those connections. So I really think wherever the opportunity is, you should chase it. And for me, it's definitely about collaborations. It's definitely about reaching out to other artists, and seeing where you can add value to each other. So that would really be my advice. But definitely, if you don't have the opportunity to go internationally right now, South Africa, we've got such good artists, such good writers, such good producers, and we must never forget that, we have a great foundation here, and I think try and make it here. Definitely, even if you want to make it internationally, making it at home is just so special.
Do you think maybe people locally are more likely to assist their fellow man or woman, whereas overseas there's so much competition for the spotlight that they're almost sort of cards close to the chest?
I really think it's down to the person, to be honest. Locally, I've had a lot of people that don't really want to share their information, don't really want to collab. And then I've had people that are so open and so giving and so willing to share whatever expertise and information they have. And internationally, likewise, I think it also depends how you connect with people. And that brings me back to why I do music, like I explained earlier. I really think that is such an important tool in life to do anything, really, to build good friendships, to learn how to connect with people, to put yourself, in situations that maybe are not so comfortable, where you feel a little bit awkward, but you need to make conversation and you need to make people feel heard. And I think that's just what I focus on. And I think it's down to the person. I think if you're able to connect with that person, whether they normally are quite guarded or not, will completely change the vibe and will completely change the game. And it also depends when you reach out to them, right? If they're really superstars, then they do have a little bit more of a feeling of these people are just wanting to take and not really add value. So and there are lots of good up and coming younger stars that will be so amazing. And I think we need to just try and connect at our same level. Sometimes you get an amazing opportunity like Black Coffee and me. I mean, I had nothing to offer, and but he's a completely different person. He's so much about upliftment. He's so much about like this positivity and helping others grow. But not everyone's like that, right? So you have to pick the right people, I think, and try and connect with the right people. And if it doesn't work, just try and connect with someone else. It doesn't mean that you're not good enough or that your career is over. It just means that you should just keep trying, because lots of people will not reply. So
Absolutely.
Don't stress. Yeah.
Let's talk about Waiting for Love. You first started off with the main version, obviously. You said you finished everything in lockdown. How's it been going since you released it? And also, how did the remix happen?
The original actually took about 4 years to complete. So at the time I was releasing quite electro music, didn't really fit in. I wanted it to be, as I mentioned, quite organically driven with acoustic guitar. And so during lockdown, I thought, no, this is the time. Let me release a new sound. I love this song. Let's just start, So did that, got it mixed, mastered, did some visuals, released that. Then I thought to get on a few of the other stations that are maybe a little bit more edgy and less I wouldn't say like contemporary, but a little bit more edgy, I guess, and to give stations that hadn't picked up the original version a second chance to pick up a cooler version. I thought, wow, who can I get to try and just mix up this track? And I reached out to my old team at Sony, and they actually put me in touch with Beats by Hand, and he replied immediately. I sent my vocals. Literally within a week he sent a draft, and I just loved it. I thought it was so cool with the pop vocals and then the beat that just completely flipped it on its head. And so now with both versions, yeah, we've actually done quite well. And we playlisted on a lot of radio stations, if not the one version, the other, whichever the format fits. Streaming has gone well. The videos had a lot of interest. And yeah, so I'm really loving it. And I'm using this to build my streams, to build my engagement, and continue to release some more music throughout this year, which I'm really excited about.
Do you find that since lockdown and since the coronavirus has happened, that social media, look, we know we interact in terms of Zoom meetings and all of that, but I'm talking about in terms of keeping relevant as an artist. Do you find that social media has just become so much more important now?
Yeah, unfortunately so. You know, I actually don't like social media at all. I think it's a waste of time, to be honest. It takes so much time, it's so much effort, and it's so fake. Let's be serious, because we post highlights of our life. That's not real life. Now I'm studying psychology. I'm really also interested in that sort of thing, and I think it's so bad for mental health. I'm not an advocate of social media. If I could not do it, I would, you know. But unfortunately, like you said, now with lockdown and sort of people having a little bit more time on their hands or working from home, a lot more people are on social media. And so if I want my tracks to be played, if I want to get into new spaces, I sort of need to have a social media presence. So yeah, I do think it is important, although I'm not a fan.
Yeah, you wish it wasn't, but it is.
Exactly.
No, but like, I mean, for example, YouTube comments. I mean, it's quite scary, some of the comments that get written on YouTube videos. And
Yeah.
I heard about a footballer in Australia who actually retired at the age of 23 because he couldn't take the negative comments.
I just think that's so sad, and I know there are measures in place to try and stop cyberbullying, but I think that should really be the main focus, because like we were chatting, people are posting the highlights of their life, and so either you are inflicting pain on other people because they think they're not good enough or they're not doing enough. Meanwhile, they actually maybe are, but they're too busy comparing themselves, and negatively, because we always see the negative, or I do at least, you know, see more the negative in what you can do and what you have to offer than the positive. And then, like you said, this professional athlete who's probably amazing, but there's some people that are jealous or don't feel good about themselves. They start to bring him down, and then perpetuate a mental health disorder in his life, and that's not really healthy. So these things need to be handled for sure, and that's that's really one of the main reasons why I'm not such a fan of social media, because it can get out of hand. If we used it for positivity and we were building each other up and we were being realistic and we were, you know, I think creating a community where we can all grow and evolve, which I think was actually the initial idea behind social media, then it would be amazing. But unfortunately, it's not all that, right? So we have to just be cognizant of that too, and just do the best we can.
Yeah, and just realize, just because somebody's life looks amazing doesn't necessarily mean that it is. And you just concentrate on making yourself happy.
Exactly. Aren't we all searching for happiness throughout our life? You know, what is happiness? but yeah, exactly. It's difficult not to compare yourself to other people on social media, but really I think that is something that we need not do, because that is the start of a very unhealthy cycle.
Okay, so let's get back to music. I'm noticing, as far as sort of the modern world is concerned, a lot of artists aren't really bothering too much with albums these days, and they're just kind of going with singles, because you download the single as much as you download the album. It's not like in the old days where you had you know, a wall full of CDs that you're collecting from every single artist. I still have that, but that's just me. I like the original box. I'm just old school like that. But you find that the world is changing in that way, and that people are not really releasing albums as often as they would, or if they are, they're longer albums because they can fit more on it. They're not limited to time.
Yes, definitely. For me, I understand it to be a singles market, because we are almost pressured to release a single every 6 weeks, because that's the cycle of streams. And so if we look at our algorithms, they, on release day, they spike up, and the cycle is about 6 weeks, and then it starts to drop again. And when it starts to drop, people are releasing more so that they can up their streams and maintain that interest and that engagement, right? So releasing an album is amazing, but it just costs a lot more money. And then you've only got maybe 3 singles that are hits on the album. And so in terms of, you know, us also not having gigs at the moment, not having a steady income and cash flow, it makes much more sense just to put all your energy into one single, really ride that out. And when that's dropping, put another one in, because you gain a lot more. So for us, that is definitely, for me, that's the strategy.
Absolutely. Is there anything else you would like to tell all of the Heart FM listeners before we let you go?
Well, I just want to say thank you for your support, guys. It's been years and years and years, and I love what I do, and I honestly couldn't do it without your support. And so thank you for playing me on the radio. Thank you for listening to me on the radio. And yeah, please connect with me on social media. I'm just Cara Frew on everything. So CARAFREW. I will have some new music coming out end of Feb, mid-March. So please keep your eyes on my socials for that. And yeah, just connect with me, because I will reply. And yeah, I love to connect. So thank you so much.
You're a very inspiring person, I must say. And
Thank you. Not a responsibility.
Have you thought about doing sort of motivational speaking?
Oh wow, I don't think I have time right now, to be honest. Wow, but maybe later on in my life, you know. I think having 3 serious passions right now is just getting my psych degree, and after that I want to get my doctorate. So I need to focus on that. Also my show jumping, definitely, and my singing, of course, my music. So once I've maybe done enough of that, I'll also have a little bit more to talk about, right? And a lot more experience, and maybe I'll add a little bit more value. But yeah, I love speaking, like I mentioned a million times, love connecting with people. So motivational speaking could be quite cool. I think it just needs to be in the right moment.
Cara, you are amazing. Thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you for your time.
And we'll catch up again really soon.